unsealed alien files now. It's all part of the Fox Files on Fox Nation.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Overtime. First, my apologies for that brief interlude from Fox News. I was admittedly on the Fox News website, and the autoplay just decided to go for it, and the media channel was on. So my condolences, those of you who need mental health counseling as a result of the inadvertent exposure to Fox News. Please get a hold of us on the Discord. We will make mental health and trauma workers available to you. Welcome to Overtime. Where to begin? We've been thinking about going live all day. We didn't for any number of reasons. And we may discuss it later tonight. We have Commander McMillan on at 9:30 for off time. So in about 1 hour, we will be live with Commander McMillan. It's just going to be, it's off time. We'll be shooting the shit, but that may come up as well as a few other topics. I hope you will join us for that. In the meantime, what has happened in the last 48 hours? Where to begin? Trump was supposed to give a deposition in New York, and he has instead invoked his Fifth Amendment right not to incriminate himself. He is, of course, welcome to do that. I personally try very hard to not make any judgments on people who do that. We all know how and why you make such judgments. There is only one grounds under which you actually can plead the Fifth, and that is that you would incriminate yourself. Otherwise, you can't plead the Fifth if you're not guilty of something. Nonetheless, any juror is always instructed, you're not allowed to read into it, and I believe in that. One person who does read into pleading the Fifth is former President Donald Trump, who has said repeatedly that only guilty people plead the Fifth, and he would never plead the Fifth under oath because he has never done anything wrong. And you should always consider people who plead the Fifth to be guilty, criminal, and I forget what else he said, but he was not a fan of them. So maybe use his metric if you so choose. That notwithstanding, Florida state senator, and I'm going to try to bring up... I apologize. I want to get the name here. It was Florida State Rep Anthony Sabatini has said, quote, "It's time for us in the Florida legislature to call an emergency legislative session and amend our laws regarding federal agencies. Sever all ties with the DOJ immediately. Any FBI agent conducting law enforcement functions outside the purview of our state should be arrested on site." All right. Thank you. That's obviously a rather bold statement. Now, we've been around. We covered when Rick Perry was... were we around when Rick Perry... we discussed Rick Perry and other Texas governors with thinly veiled suggestions of leaving the union, but a state senator honestly, apparently, arguing to arrest federal law enforcement officers who are enforcing federal laws on state property is quite shocking. Now, this was echoed, a similar sentiment was echoed by let's see, standby one here. Let me get his, a tremendous amount of information to process today by a man by the name of Ricky Schiffer. He made a post that said, quote, I am a construction electrician in Columbus. I've had accounts blocked, locked, or deleted on ThemTube, Twitter, and believe it or not, Rumble on the 5th. I tried to explain to Epps. Now this man has been sought in connection with the with January 6th, obviously, that it would make sense to go into the building if they approved the fraudulent votes. It would only make sense to go into the building if they approved the fraudulent votes. He, of course, went back yelling, "We have to go into the Capitol." I unfortunately wrote him off as a dumb ass. Probably the smartest thing this man's ever done in his life. They did approve the votes, and I am ready to handle this like an American. Columbus, Ohio. He went to the FBI building in Ohio. I believe our understanding is he used a nail gun initially, and used a nail gun, and but at any rate had some kind of rifle on him. Was described as a AR-14 kind of rifle. Engaged in he was chased, engaged in a firefight, and is now dead. That happened earlier today. He had also written that it was, let me see, I may have missed, I'm not proposing war, but we need to kill the FBI on sight and be ready to take down other active enemies of the people who are trying to prevent you from doing it. He posted that August 9th, and earlier today attacked an FBI building and was shot and killed. We haven't been reporting this for any number of reasons. One of them is because everybody is rather tense right now, and we would like to not ratchet up. News has an ability to make everything seem immediate. It's one lone gunman who attacked an FBI building. We all know why he did it. We all know the rhetoric behind why he did it. And all of us are expecting this to pop off in this country at some point. I don't think this is it. I think it feels like it, and it's closer than we've ever been, but we don't want to contribute to panic. So we've been discussing this and other things in the Discord, but we've been trying to slow our roll on some of this, and we'll be evaluating that policy on an hour-by-hour basis. Attorney General Merrick Garland delivered a statement on the FBI search of Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort. He says he signed off on it personally, but more than that, we have they made a request that the warrant be unsealed. Now, Trump has said that he's innocent and he wants all the evidence to come to light. Presumably, then he's not going to argue against unsealing it. I strongly suspect he's going to argue against it. We have some indication that he's planning to. It doesn't look like he's formally tried to oppose unsealing it. But one thing that is interesting is that the chief of counterintelligence at Department of Justice signed off on the request. That means almost certainly his name is on the actual warrant. That begs the question, why is the chief of counterintelligence for the Department of Justice signing off on a warrant for Trump's home? That man, to the best of my knowledge, other than, and we've talked about this, and I'm going to bring this up with Macmillan too, because he's got some interesting takes on this, and his views are very worth knowing. But aside from all of the Russia stuff, which is sufficient enough to investigate him for espionage, all that notwithstanding, why is the chief of the counterintelligence department of the Department of Justice signing off on this? We believe now we have an idea why. The Washington Post has put up about 30 minutes ago. They have said that one of the kinds of documents that were sought after in the warrant were nuclear documents pertaining to the U.S. nuclear program. These are the highest level of classification we have in this country. If they were anywhere near his home, I have no idea how or why he would have them, but they were sought after in the warrant. There's been an erroneous report that they were found. We don't know if they were found or not. We do know that a number of things that they were looking for, they did find. We also know one of the things they were looking for is documents pertaining to the U.S. nuclear program. We don't know that those were among those that were found. However, this would be a very plausible explanation as to why the counterintelligence chief of the Department of Justice is involved in this. It is extraordinarily serious. It is by far, in my view and understanding, and this is 30 minutes old, it is the most serious charge I've ever heard against Trump, and I've heard a great number of them. You don't walk out of the White House with nuclear documents kept in those transparent plastic containers and just have them in your house. I don't care how many safes you have. We also know that a Trump insider, we don't know who, but somebody close to him, tipped off the FBI as to where those documents were, tipped them off that they were in the safe. We don't know who this is. There's been speculation. One of the ones we've been sort of going with, based on wild speculation, is that it's his former chief of staff. If that's the case, that's a huge boon to the January 6th committee and probably changes everything. His chief of staff is sort of the last line of defense before Trump himself. So all of the, I mean, these are just stunning revelation after stunning revelation. So Florida is planning on arresting any federal agent who is in the state in their capacity as a law enforcement official for the federal government. And I shouldn't say that. That's a straw man. One Florida representative has said that they should do that. I don't know how seriously he's been taken, but holy smoke. We also know that the phone of Trump ally Scott Perry has been seized and mirrored yesterday, immediately after the Mar-a-Lago raid. We don't know if it's tied to it. It seems at present that it's actually closer to tied to January 6th, but we don't know. At this point, it looks like there is, I don't know if it's coordinated or not. Hard to imagine it wouldn't be because it's the FBI on both ends, but it appears that there's significant movement both on January 6th and on whatever the hell was in his house. Now, again, it's going to be a while before we know what they recovered. With any luck, presumably we could know by close of business Friday what the warrant was looking for. Again, we do know that they found things pertaining to what that warrant was looking for. There was a, I forget the name of the act. There was an act passed very recently on the mishandling of classified information. We quoted it, and we've also got it on the Discord. I don't have it handy, so I'm not going to quote it. But it essentially said that anybody who mishandles classified information cannot run for office. This would include President of the United States. It was that particular law was signed by then President Donald Trump. So a lot going on. And lastly, Tucker Carlson missed his show. Was it yesterday or the day before? It's all bleeding together. We don't entirely know why. We were kind of poking a little fun at him on the Discord. But a source purportedly close to him and from Fox News has been quoted by the Daily Beast as saying, quote, Tucker Carlson is, quote, shitting himself, scared that Alex Jones' texts may leak. We don't know. We don't know what this may be. This is Daily Beast. It's, they know how to do news. They're not, I don't go to them for, don't go to them for New York Times or The Guardian, or, those are Reuters, AP. But having said that, They seem to have a pretty good idea of what they think they're talking about. And they claim that, actually, I think they claim two sources that say that there is some conversation between Carlson and Alex Jones, which now that those are released, Carlson, and one report that Carlson is almost non-communicative. He's not available, and again, quotes shitting himself. I don't think that's a technical term. I mean, we have psychologists handy. We can look it up. I don't think that's a technical term, but yeah, no, that's not a technical term. At any rate, so there's a lot going on. The Tucker Carlson is important for any number of reasons, obviously. He's the spokesman for a great many people on the right, and he gives them their talking ideas. I think if he's completely discredited and destroyed because of something outrageous that he's done with Alex Jones, I don't think that means the whole right and far right-wing media machine comes crashing down, but it has a huge dent on it. And with Alex Jones going down simultaneously, with any luck, they'll be licking their wounds, and people who make shit up will hopefully be slowing down in the future. I don't think it's going to stop, but this is going to be some pretty significant number of casualties at this point just in right-wing media. In terms of the rhetoric, obviously, we've been hearing, we know that there have been threats against the lives of the officers who executed the warrant. We know that there were protests the night at Mar-a-Lago, but it seems to have died down. I think everybody's waiting with bated breath to see what Fox News does. If Fox News really spins this as and they've been spinning it as Trump is being unfairly treated, but they've not been pouring a significant amount of fuel onto this fire, which they could. They're not tamping it down either, but I think we're all sort of waiting to see what they do. If they steer into this, things may get a little crazy over the next few days. So we're going to keep an eye on it. Join us on the Discord. We're constantly discussing these things. We have channels of all kinds: gaming, entertainment, politics, obviously, and as we know more. But the biggie, if you're just joining us now, and we've covered a lot in the last 15 minutes, it's been a long 2 days, folks. But the biggie is the Washington Post has reported that nuclear documents were sought in the warrant that was executed on Mar-a-Lago. That we know they had a tipster who tipped them off as to what some of the documents were that were there. We also already knew that he had taken some documents, and presumably those have been returned, I believe, sometime in February, if I recall. So we already knew he's taken documents. That's not really a question. That they were this level of seriousness is staggering. Whatever the documents were, we do know that the head of the Counterintelligence Department at the Department of Justice signed off on at least disclosing the warrant. That strongly suggests that his department was heavily involved in the warrant. There's no reason for him to sign off on trying to make the warrant public unless his department was involved. That this also involved, we would assume it would involve Merrick Garland, simply because it's a president, so you're not going to do a raid. Well, not necessarily Merrick Garland. Let me rephrase that. At a minimum, the head of the FBI, who did sign off on this, and as it turns out is a Trump appointee, that notwithstanding, Merrick Garland is involved in addressing this directly. That could just be the size of the office, but at this point, it looks like something extraordinarily serious had happened over there. And bigger than anything he's been accused of, which, considering I'm not even going to get into Deutsche Bank money laundering and all that other good stuff. It's astonishing. So we're going to keep an eye on that, obviously. That's a biggie. I will check on the live chat. I will say this. If I were Trump right now, I'd wish Merrick Garland had a different job. Justice on the Supreme Court, maybe. I don't know. All right, let's let me catch up in the live chat. I've been staying out of it because it's just a tremendous amount of material, and we've been back and forth on it for the last day and a half, but the nuclear, this is obviously, it's got me stammering. Wow. All right, so let's see. As I said, I'm going to catch up in the live chat. I'm probably just going to need a second with that. Got all these windows open, and to tell you the truth, I'm willing to take a little extra time in doing this if it means not blaring Fox News at all my fine audience again. Listen, at last I heard that was one of Kim Jong-un's favorite torture techniques, was to just play Fox News, and people are like, I'll tell you anything you want to know. It's okay. I have a little gripe against Fox News. Of course, they've lied to us less than CNN. All right, so I'm going to catch up with the live chat here. I have a little gripe against CNN too, but if you've been watching the show for the last couple of months, you know why. It's justified. And as I said, we're going to be live with Commander McMillan in about 45 minutes. So my hope is you will join us for that. $2 Sinister Porpoise. I'm going to have to because she's a supporter of the show and it's a super chat. So best news week ever. And comic book guy voice. Thank you, Sinister Porpoise. Yeah, wow. Michael, thank you. Yeah, it's a little crazy. So we've had, breaking nuclear. Yeah, well, Ukraine's an issue, isn't it? Because the largest power plant of its kind, nuclear power plant of its kind in Europe has been shelled again. We're keeping an eye on that. It's clear it's the Russians. The Russians are blaming Ukrainians. Ukrainians are blaming Russians. And so far, every independent agency that looked at it has said it's the Russians. Now, the Russians currently have it under their control, if I recall. So are they shelling their own? I don't know. I know it's... Can we have one catastrophe at a time, please? That's going to be my request. What hasn't happened this week between the weather, yeah. Do come join us on the Discord. We are a publicly sourced show. It's the people who come and contribute and who help us, curate the news that help determine what we do and when we do it. And all of you, by the way, have been stellar over this week. There's been some news. And if you've been following us for any length of time, we often go live with breaking news before mainstream media. This obviously we got from the Washington Post, but we were live with it when they had it out for less than half an hour. So anyways, I hope you'll join us. I hope you'll support the show. And again, come on the Discord and check it out. So I think we've covered everything. It's so we've got tonight, we've got off time with Commander McMillan. That's in about 45 minutes. Next week, we're going to do the rescheduled flat tax, which is Andring really, not flat tax, wow. The fair tax, which is Andring introduced me to, and I think is very worth a serious discussion. It's a little surprising that hasn't gained more traction, given what I've seen on it so far, but we're still a lot more research to go. So we'll see. At any rate, yeah, no deal. I know. It's, there's a lot going on. So we'll stay on it, and we'll let you guys know as anything major progresses. We're obviously waiting to see what's in the warrant. It's hard to imagine if that warrant gets released that whatever it contains is not going to be something worth going live with. So subscribe, like, hit the bell, and I'm aware a number of people who have turned on their subscriptions have not been getting notifications. YouTube's been doing that to a lot of channels. I've missed some notifications. Subscribe, like, hit the bell, join the Discord. That's also a very good way to find out when we air, and we're going to stay on it. So having said that, thank you all for joining us. We will see you in about 45 minutes for Off Time with Commander McMillan. Come see the show. You're not going to be disappointed. He is a delightful man to talk to, and when it comes to military and espionage too, that's not his forte, but even that one, he has forgotten more about it than I will ever know. So hopefully it's going to be a good show. Join us tonight, and we will see you later. Good night.